The latest press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, has been going after the press, and she's taken the gloves off. She's brought slides in. She repeatedly pulls out a book and asks questions and challenges the fake news media. And of course, the journalists are furious about it. In a kind of surprising story, Chris Wallace of Fox News invited a panel where they ended up bashing Kayleigh McEnany. And it's funny, Newsbuster says it seemed like CNN. But I want to talk about this because I got to tell you, man, I've been watching some of these viral clips, and I'll tell it is emotionally satisfying when Kayleigh McEnany throws the questions back in the face of the press, who you'd think would be able to report on this stuff, answer some of these questions, and understand what's going on. They love to say things like, what is even Obamagate? It's like, dude, if some, middle-aged guy at home can pull up Google and get a quick understanding of Obamagate, at the very least, you could do the same before asking questions. Actually look into this stuff so you know what you're talking about. Too many journalists are in I guess I call it a toilet swirl, just spinning around. It's a game of telephone between all these other journalists. They're isolated. They're insulated. They don't do research outside of their bubble, so they have no idea what's going on. And it's funny now because we have to have the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, ask them questions because that's how clueless these people are. But let's take a look at what's going on in this specific instance. From Newsbusters, Wallace Goldberg bashed Twitter troll press secretary McEnany. Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace invited a panel to bash White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany because she dared to stand up to the opposition press. Between Wallace taking it personally and the never Trump editor-in-chief of the Dispatch, Jonah Goldberg, attacking her, it was like watching CNN. Wallace's chief complaint was that McEnany had taken the White House pool to task for ignoring and downplaying the revelations in the corrupt investigation of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn and how the Russian collusion narrative was unraveling. Quote, I have to say that if Kayleigh McEnany had told Sam Donaldson and me what questions we should ask, that would not have gone well for her. Wallace bristled as he addressed Goldberg. What is that supposed to mean? Why wouldn't it go well? She asked the questions she wanted answered. So what's the problem? You want to fire back and ask questions? I'm sure she'd engage in that conversation because she wants you to ask those questions. Goldberg took exception with former DNC chair Donna Brazile, who he said was deferential to Kayleigh McEnany. I think her behavior is indefensible and grotesque. Oh, I love the collective outrage. I don't care who it comes from. Goldberg proclaimed against the press secretary. After struggling to get his analogy out, he decried McEnany as, quote, a Twitter troll who goes on attack, doesn't actually care about doing the job they have. Man, I could absolutely say the exact same thing about these journalists. And there it is. Kayleigh McEnany has presented the fun house mirror and placed it on the podium in front of the microphone. And the journalists are now seeing exactly what they do, and they don't like it. That's all it is. A reflection of what they're doing. Now, to be fair, Kayleigh McEnany is doing a better job. But if you want to view her as a Twitter troll, how do you think everyone else feels when these journalists are literally just Twitter trolls? I saw one journalist today, supposedly from a prestigious publication, posting screenshots from one article and something from Trump. Trump said, across the country, COVID numbers are going down. Then they took this opposition research thing saying COVID cases are going up. And they were like, well, it's like, okay, dude. You screenshotted the stories. I get it. We all do that. But you realize those are two different things. If you want to argue that across the country, numbers are going down, that's a fair point. Does it mean all numbers for the entire nation are going down? No, it means that you've got cities across the country where the numbers are going down. There could be other places where they're going up. That's not the point. But the journalists want to get hot takes. That's what they want to do. They want to go online and, they want, tss. I'm doing that thing where you lick your finger and then make the hissing sound because they're burning somebody. That's what they want to do. That's what they actually do. And then you get Chris Wallace and Jonah Goldberg trying to do it on TV. This is what I don't like about the current iteration of what I was going to say journalism. I don't even want to call it that because it's basically just everybody getting emotional digs at each other. Like, I understand why Kayleigh McEnany pulls out the book and says, what about these stories? I mean, I actually agree with doing this. Someone asked her, this is a story from like a couple weeks ago or so. They said, in the past, you criticized Donald Trump. You said these things. And then she said, basically, look, I stand by Trump. But then she pulls out stories and says, if you want to ask me about taking back things I said, I would ask Vox. Would you want to take back this story where you mentioned coronavirus wasn't that bad, or the Washington Post? She then goes on to list all of these outlets where they said things they later went on to, claim the opposite. And that's what the media does. They don't take criticism very well. So when she says, oh, you want to ask me that question? I'll give you an answer. Okay, times change. And now here's one right back at you. They get all angry. And here you go. He added, Jonah Goldberg, and instead wants to impress really an audience of one and make another part of official Washington, another one of these essentially cable news and Twitter gladiatorial arenas. And it's a sign of the defining of deviancy down in our politics, and it's only going to make things worse. Have you ever met Jim Acosta, good sir? I don't believe it was, Sarah Huckabee Sanders or Sean Spicer who started the cable TV nonsense of the press briefings. That, my friend, was none other than CNN's very own Jim Acosta, which is funny. Reading about this Fox panel, it really does sound like CNN. Jim Acosta turned it into a spectacle. Now, I get it. You can point the finger at Trump a bit. But the thing about Trump is that he's the president, and presidents can be eccentric or not. The press is supposed to be professional. Ask questions, get to the bottom of things, ask for clarification. They don't. Jim Acosta stood up, grandstanding and ranting and arguing with the president. And when everyone realized that brought in ratings, they all did the same thing. So when you get Kayleigh McEnany coming out and now challenging you and saying, what about this? You want to play these games. You don't get to now be mad and say, well, she's turning it to cable TV. Oh. Maybe if you came out and criticized Jim Acosta when the rest of us did, we would not be here. And I'll tell you what, if you get rid of those people like Jim Acosta and the other CNN, Caitlin, what's-her-face, and that woman who pulled her mask down and she was like, why are you asking me about China? You get rid of those people, then maybe I'll ask that we tone things down even insofar as Kayleigh McEnany would engage the press. But you don't. So to act like what Kayleigh is doing is somehow the worst thing you've ever seen is just a lie. A straight up lie. She's calm, she's professional, she brings up good points. That's it. If the journalists want to play these games, then this is what they'll get. And at the very least, they don't even have to have press briefings. She doesn't even have to come out, and the journalists don't have to go there. What are you complaining about? It's optional. It's like someone saying, how about they could just shut the press briefings down like they did last time. And then they'll complain, Trump should have press briefings. Then Trump started having press briefings and they were like, no, shut Trump's press briefings down. It's boosting his ratings. So then Trump brings on Kayleigh McEnany and now they're outraged. Okay, I'll tell you what. Maybe just don't do it at all because you'll never please these people. I don't think they're really angry at her. I don't. I think what they're doing is a part of the performative political garbage. So look, I'd love if everything went back to normal. I'd love if people were honest. They're not. And what we've gotten from just whatever this culture war is reality TV trash. Trump didn't create it. Trump is a symptom of it. And that's one of the reasons he got elected. People liked what he brought to the table because of what was budding up in our culture. And Bernie Sanders represented a left-wing populist movement, but he didn't have the strength to win. Donald Trump gets elected. He does his Trumpian thing. And that's no excuse for an entire industry to throw all ethics out the window and start playing this game. A few examples. I was at VidCon, the largest video conference in the world a few years ago. The president of Now This News said that they were working with anti-Trump activists at the highest level in content production. Why? How about Brian Stelter? When he said it's the job of the press to challenge the anger of the public. What? No, it isn't. It's your job to inform the public. If Trump says something, by all means, fact check him. CNN doesn't. They just play the game because CNN is being run by a guy who used to do reality television. It is painfully obvious. So what do I see from Fox News? Oh, they want to get in on the game too, huh? You know what, man? I'm getting so over all of this. I know. I'm part of the same thing. The difference, I guess, is that I'm right now a dude in his house talking about his feelings. When you have Fox News, which is a massively funded organization, when you have CNN, massively funded, they could be doing real news. So I'll tell you this. You want to criticize me for being a member of the media and playing the same game? Oh, now I'm complaining about Fox. They're complaining about whatever. Okay. That's totally fine. I get it. I'm actually trying to set up various news entities and fact-checking organizations so that from this, we create good news. They do the opposite. From their news channels, they create cable reality TV garbage. Check out scnr.com. You can see the link to the YouTube channel. It's formerly Subverse. Now it's called Scanner. Check it out. We've got awesome journalism, real on-the-ground reporting. So the people who are doing that, they do their own thing. They're editorially independent. Good. I'm glad. What I hope is that, well, like I said, it's the inverse, okay? I'll tell you what. I like Kayleigh McEnany. I like what she's been doing. I like that these journalists are now getting challenged because they're not doing their jobs. If you have a problem with someone challenging you, then maybe you shouldn't be in this industry. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Journalists have to ask tough questions, and sometimes you will be challenged. That's the point. Did you think you were going to sit down and get to do whatever you wanted and no one would question anything you said? That's absurd. But I'll wrap it up with this. I don't think Fox News even really cares. I really don't. I think Fox News is just playing the same old game because they know I'll talk about it and you'll talk about it, and that's all anyone wants to do anymore. We'll see where we end up after this year. I'm hoping that after the election, everything kind of chills out. We'll see. Stick around. I got a couple more segments coming up for you in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.